The Converse Chuck70s are a modern interpretation of the All-Stars of the 1970s. These sneakers have several things that make them better than the original All-Stars, and I can give you 3 specific reasons why they are worth the upgrade. However, I can give you 1 major reason why you might just want to skip them altogether and stick with the originals. And it's a pretty big one. Welcome to Stray Reviews. I'm Lee, and I'm here to help you find the best men's lifestyle gear and apparel. And today I'm reviewing the Converse Chuck70 in parchment canvas. The Chuck70 goes back to 2013 when Converse gave the all-star Chuck Taylor a makeover with upgraded materials. These sneakers feature a heavyweight 12-ounce canvas upper, a leather ankle patch, a contrasting all-star license plate on the heel, and a varnished midsole and toe cap, giving these a slightly shinier appearance. They also have heavier laces than the originals. The soles on these do not have that thin layer of felt found on the originals, but they still have that signature Chuck Taylor pattern. On the inside, you'll find a removable Ortholite insole, which is a great feature when you consider the all-star soles are glued in, and this offers options if you want to replace them with an orthotic or really anything else. The Converse Chuck70 is made in Vietnam and it sells for $90. I'm going to get into the good, the bad, and the bottom line, but if you want to take a closer look at any time, I'll leave a link down in the description below. All right, let's start with the good of the Converse Chuck70. First of all, I really love this parchment canvas natural rubber colorway. It is incredibly versatile, and I think it even looks better than the white. They really have a great vintage sneaker vibe that I can just wear with anything. It's like having the versatility of a white sneaker, but with some personality. But subjective opinions aside, these have something that all my all-stars have never had, and that's a measure, albeit a small measure, of arch support. One of my complaints about the original All-Star was that the insoles on those also are glued in. And I know that sounds like a small thing, but it is definitely an upgrade to have this Ortholite insole. Don't get me wrong, the original All-Star insole does have decent padding. They're just not removable, and they're just flat for the most part. And another thing in the good column is the 12-ounce canvas that the uppers are made of versus the lighter 10-ounce canvas that are used to construct the original All-Stars. And that also might not sound like a big difference, but you can really feel it on foot. And I can easily see how the 70s are going to hold their shape longer. They also feel more supportive around the ankles. The biggest improvement over the original, though, is this construction. The thicker treads on the sole, the heavier rubber, and the higher sidewalls all add up to a sneaker that is bound to last a lot longer. One of the biggest complaints about the All-Star is that they tend to come apart at the toe break. And I've seen several Chuck70s in the wild that have several miles on them, but are holding together quite well. The heavier canvas, the superior construction, and the comfortable but removable footbed really do justify that $25 price increase over the original. And they really are a great classic sneaker. Tap that like button for me if you love to see a great sneaker made even better. All right, let's talk about the bad of the Converse Chuck70. And I really only have 1 complaint, but it is a pretty big one. In fact, it might even be a deal breaker for some people. With all of the great upgrades to these sneakers, they seem to lack really what I love most about the All-Stars, and that's the way that they fit and they feel on my feet. The originals have a fit that just kind of seems to wrap around my feet without being too constricting. But the Chuck70s seem to have a roomier fit until it gets to the toe, and then it feels like it gets a little bit too narrow for my taste. And that could just be the shape of my foot, but it definitely doesn't feel like that with the original All-Star. The other thing about the fit and the feel is that the All-Star is much lighter, which makes sense because of the materials. But the combination of the great fit and the lightweight feel really does have me reaching for the original All-Stars more than I reach for the 70s. Also, and it's a small thing, but the Chuck70 does not have a lace loop on the tongue the way that the All-Stars do. So you have a heavier, not quite as well-fitting shoe that has a tongue that likes to slide to the side. But you tell me, if you own both sneakers, which fit and feel do you prefer? The lighter, leaner All-Stars or the heavier, roomier Chuck70s? Let me know down in the comments below. All right, I'm gonna give you my bottom line opinion, but if you're getting some value out of this today, then I want to invite you to the My Favorite Things free newsletter, where I send out a list of my favorite gear and apparel each month. And I'll leave a link to sign up to that down in the description as well. Okay, the bottom line is that the Chuck70s look fantastic and are bound to serve you well much longer than a standard pair of All-Stars. And the $25 price difference is deserved in my opinion. However, the feel on foot might not be preferred for those who have grown to love that lighter, leaner feel of the originals. And speaking of the original All-Stars, if you want to see my review of them, then check out this video here. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.